Good evening. Tonight, we're doing dailies with Gunbreaker. As usual, we're going down the list. Except, as we tried last time, where we tried 4 Summoner Expert Roulette, if we can get 4 Gunbreakers together, then I would love to see if we can do 4 Gunbreaker Expert Roulette. So if you have a Gunbreaker and access to Expert Roulette, and of course the Gunbreaker needs to be able to queue for Expert Roulette, and you're on EU, then we could go. Hey Ymir, hey Vasari, how are you doing? It's going great for me. I like playing Gunbreaker, so that's not to say that I don't like playing, for instance, Summoner. But Gunbreaker doesn't feel super overwhelming to me, which I think is a good thing. I specifically got the Extreme for this specific occasion, but knowing me, we're going to be spending very little time in the house for this stream, since it keeps kicking us out anyway, and there's a good chance people tend to like visit outside the house rather than inside the house. Yeah, that's about. That people know where I am. And if you want to be part of this Gunbreaker only Expert Roulette, potentially, then come on down. I'll wait for a little bit. If we can't get a light party of Gunbreakers, then we'll just do it the normal way. That's also okay. Hey Lemon, how are you doing? Nice arrow. Puppy is on 4% only. I don't know how fast that is. Usually, the way that it goes for me is that it pops up with like a Windows run request, ask if it's okay to download, and then it downloads it. And then when the bar's full, it's pretty fast to finish. And yeah, we'll see. We can also do all Gunbreakers for something lower level if that works better later. It is just mainly that like Expert Roulette is an interestingly enough challenge. And if we do all Gunbreakers throughout the entire evening, that can get a little bit a little samey or difficult if people don't have that kind of time. Emin says, I'm good. I caught up on gathering. Finished a lave right as the stream started. Oh, nice. Kasadi says, I'm going for some savage reclears, so I cannot join for stuff. Oh yeah, last night I got P11S down. That's awesome. So... Oh, right, but it's reset day, so... Hey, Ryan. How you doing? So the good news are, Kasadi, that you get to do it again. The bad news are that you get to do it again. The standard of savage rating, right, is that you get to do it again. Yeah, I'll wait a little bit in case people are logging in and want to join with their Gunbreakers. I would rather give it a chance. Ymir says, I got math exams tomorrow, so I'll just be watching today. Oh, that's fair. I hope you'll do well on the math exam. Math is hard. It's certainly not easy. Alternatively, if you just want to come along for roulettes and you don't have a Gunbreaker, you're also welcome to come over. We'll just see what we have when we have it. Yeah, I'll go in a few minutes, just so that people have a chance to get seated if they want to come along. Yeah. Comically, I've spent most of today and yesterday not playing Gunbreaker, but playing Dark Knight, on account of working on another guide. So hopefully I still remember how to get this done. I probably do. Gunbreaker isn't... it seems scarier than it actually is. English today and Deutsch yesterday. That is a very packed exam schedule. Right. Arrow says Gunbreaker is very easy, at least in my eyes. That's fair, but you don't use No Mercy before you use your first GCD. That is step one. But Gunbreaker is... the difficult part about Gunbreaker is getting all of your OGCDs off in a timely fashion. But other than that, the order isn't actually that important. But you don't want to double weave No Mercy with anything before you're in melee range, for example. Hey Asian, how are you doing? Hey Tracy, how are you doing? Oh, Orion's here. I didn't get hit by that. Oh, I didn't hit that. Nice. Right. Well, Orion, do you have expert roulette? I think I remember you do. How slow is my PlayStation 4? I'm surprised that it takes that long. You have expert roulette but no max level Gunbreaker. That's fine. It seems like it's going to be the two of us. If we wait, according to Sharo, 20 minutes, maybe more, then we'll be 3. That's still not enough. Hey, Thiago Sala, thank you so much. I'm glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. Well, we can start with the expert roulette, just the two of us, if you want to, Orion. And then we can see what we can do when we have more people, maybe later in the stream. Instead of just hanging out and doing nothing for the stream when we're supposed to be doing something. So I think that's what we'll do. We found the unicorn. Expert adventure and need DPS. No, Ymir. Concentrate on your exams, of course. Yeah, we'll see if we can get an actual all Gunbreakers roulette later, if we can like scrounge enough people to get that. Might be easier when we get to like leveling roulette or something, because then anyone that can like pick up Gunbreaker can do it. Although then we might land in a roulette where we don't actually have any healing. Or any significant amount of healing, I should say. Just tank swap. that could work. Like, if we land in Sastasha, it's going to be easy. Like, it's going to be a cakewalk. Because Gunbreaker can solo that. As we have previously discovered. Basically anything lower level than Bravelock's Longstop is, like, it's completely free, guaranteed victory. It's free real estate, exactly. It is free real estate. Lemon says, if we did Gunbreaker stream that wasn't max level, I could at least try to join. I could just unlock Gunbreaker. You're welcome to do that. Like, if we can get 4 Gunbreakers for any roulette, or if we can get like a full group for any roulette, that would work for me. I think it's just fun to have it, if we can. It's not something we need, but it would be fun if we can have it. You prefer the other one? You know, I get that. The same dungeon can be boring, and we've had this one for a while. Let's just say that. A long, long time we've had this dungeon at this point. The funny squid boss at the end is also very interesting. I actually, after I've like figured out how the boss works, it's a lot more fun. I also typically get Ether Font more. Last week we also got like, I believe we got Ether Font twice when we just like had a full, or like we had a light party when we were doing the summoner thing. Wait, no. We got this one both times, didn't we? We got this one both times. My bad. Oh dear. Oh dear. Left slam. Yeah, we got Lapis Manalis. Exactly, Sharo was tanking. Get back here, you! I haven't finished my combo. Yeah, I get it. Like that is an interesting thing, is that in the recent video I put up about Crystal Tower, one of the key reasons that people didn't mind that the Expert Roulette basically only has 2 dungeons is because at least one of them gets pushed out every 4 months. Which is a lot better than, you know, Crystal Tower, who has been in Alliance Roulette for forever? And presumably, Alliance Roulette was instated with Crystal Tower on the list, right? Just by default. You know, Sharo, you might actually land that 30-minute guess exactly on the money. which is not a good thing, but hey, you guessed right. Tracy says, isn't it because Crystal Tower is obligatory now where all other alliance raids are voluntary? That is part of the reason. As multiple people could attest, before it became mandatory, so before Shadowbringers made it mandatory, Crystal Tower was still the most common of all of them. I heard some players suggest that the real reason why Crystal Tower is so prominent is because it's... I don't know if it's the only one, but it is at least an alliance raid that free-to-play players have access to. Which means that has a profound impact on its like representation, right? If every person that has ever played Final Fantasy XIV has access to Crystal Tower, then it would have a severe effect on how much it's represented. Right? I don't know. Does anyone here know whether free-to-play players have access to Shadow of Mahak? I would imagine even if you did have access to Shadows of Mahak, you wouldn't be very interested in doing it, simply because the primary reason free-to-play players have to do things in the game is to like level up alts and stuff like that, I would imagine. Like until they buy the game for real. And if that's true, then you have no incentive whatsoever to ever consider doing Shadows of the Mahak, because you can't access it with a job that would actually be able to gain experience on a trial account. Gazelle says, yes, they do have access to the level 60 raids. Oh, well that answers that. I did assume, I would have assumed that they had access to everything in both A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, but I wasn't sure if the actual cutoff point was like, oh, this random quest in Heavensward or something like that. So, like, I stopped on my free trial after 1 day, so I wouldn't know, and my free trial happened back when max level on a free trial was 35, you know, back when you hardly got to try the game before they went, alright, you want the rest of it? Gotta pay up. Oh, wait, the first one is over there. It could have ended badly. I did not see which one was number 3, but this is always a safe spot. Cutoff point is the wall. You are in front of Stormblood, basically. They literally place you like, yeah, you could have this. You could have all this. Hmm. $70-minute queues. Was it 70 minutes to queue for the Shadow of Mahak, right? Is that what you're saying? I'm not actually sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. Those raids, by the way, that's why I'm going with that. Like, I tried looking it up, and I found 2 or 3 different ways to pronounce it, so I just decided to say, nah, you know what, I'm just going to do what what I've always done. Remember, you must hone your skills daily. Casey says I'm off to do my roulettes. Well, enjoy. You can join us for roulettes if you want to. But if you're ready to do it on your own, you can do that. Crested Paul says, is his hair ginger or am I confusing a hat for his hair? I am not ginger, no. It's just that I have like a very bright yellow light in the room that makes it very hard to tell. But I'm a very, very weak blonde. And I have like a red like glint in my hair, but I'm pretty sure I don't qualify as a ginger.
I've been waiting so long. Don't disappoint. Brace yourselves.
Brace yourselves. I can try and move the light after this if you want to see the difference. Oop. Yeah, I will say that I don't qualify as a very clear blonde either. I don't think so. Like I'm willing to say that you didn't make a mistake for assuming that I was ginger. I'm just not. And it would be unfair to gingers for me to claim that I was.
You really must try harder.
Whoops. Guess who forgot to actually start their No Mercy window properly?
Battle does so whet the appetite.
It's not so bad. There's this information anyway. But I think I could have had most of my No Mercy window properly.
No more games. Be swallowed by the tide.
It's complicated with the alliance raids because in my experience it depends on a lot of things whether you can make the queue pop, so to speak. Some players say they never have trouble. I've actually seen some players claim that they're more likely to get the higher level alliance raids than not, and I don't know how they would possibly manage that. But like, this can both be them remembering wrong, but it can also be that they genuinely are lucky, question mark, or extremely unlucky, depending on how you view it, right? Like, some people don't actually want it, and they would be considered incredibly unlucky. While others would rather have the higher level alliance rates. But certain data centers just have very little representation of players that actually want to do that. It's difficult. Like, if you watched the video I put out about Crystal Tower, you like the discrepancy there, the weird outlier comes from the simple fact that oh yeah, there was a limit break we could have used. Comes from the simple fact that so I queued Alliance Raid Roulette. I was like, okay, we'll see what we get, and I will like make the recording as is, and we get Crystal Tower. Boom, easy video footage, right? Then I intentionally queue for like some Shadows of Mahak, some Evillies, some Near Raids, specifically to get footage of that. And I get that. But I get like one Shadow of Mahak, and then after that I queued for like 3 Evillies and 2 Near Raids, and I get nothing for 30 minutes. I just sit there like getting nothing. And then I believe Sib asked me if I wanted to do Expert Roulette or something. I was like, you know what, yeah, I'd rather do that right now. And Matthew and Nilba. Nilba is Hoshi, isn't it? Did I not write that down? Yes, that is Hoshi. So you got in. Meanwhile, is Sharo still in 60%? I see, 60%. 70%. Right, let's see. If I turn off this light. How does that look? Do I still look like a ginger? I'm pretty sure it just looks like a dark blonde or something, right? Now the reason why the light is up is because you probably can see there's like this crumminess on the camera now. Because it's like that's kind of dark, and that's why I pulled in a light to help with that. And then unfortunately, it's very, very yellow. I still think that's ginger. Well, here's a funny story. You know why I stopped queuing for MSQ Roulette too much? Because back when I was leveling all of my jobs at the start of Endwalker and a big part of Shadowbringers, I did MSQ Roulette every day. And I suggest that the reason why I might look a little ginger is because I lost part of my soul doing that. And as you know, the running joke is that gingers have no souls, right? So maybe there's something there. And that is, of course, only a joke. He means that I still have my soul. Fair enough. There you go. Your soul was lost in the unskippables. Yeah, exactly. Eventually, Emir. It all goes back to the villain Yoshi P. The thing is, MSQ Roulette isn't so bad as it used to be. Hello, Margot? How are you doing? Yeah, it isn't so as bad as it used to be. But it's still very, very time consuming. You've been doing them for a year. When did they rework Praetorium? As for what I can see, it says 6.1. Which was April last year. So if you've been doing it for a year, Ymir, did you ever do Praetorium with 8 players? I mean, you don't miss 40-minute Praetorium. Bobby says, hi there, can I ask about less than 2.47 GCD Gunbreaker No Mercy weapon skills? How do you squeeze the last skill in? It always looks like when I press my last GCD No Mercy is gone. Let me see if I can magician a 2.47 GCD to demonstrate that. Alright, Bobby? I might be able to. Do we have any fending gear with skill speed? There's some there. We have some more. Do we have some more? All we got. All I have. We only have some shoes. No, 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 no. Just the shoes. Let's see how much that gives me. Yep. Oh, 247. Oh, we need a little bit more than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this. Sure, why not? So we go 246. Alright, Margaret. I was doing well, thank you. Sorry, I forgot to answer that because I suddenly got caught up in another question. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Enjoy your breakfast. Right, so 246. How do you do the opener? Let me see, let me just find my notes on the classic Gunbreaker fast opener. Is that it? Right. That's No Mercy after Solid Barrel. So, the first thing for the fast Gunbreaker, fast is maybe a stretch, 246 or faster Gunbreaker, is that you have to late weave No Mercy. So, if you don't know what late weaving is, that is when you use an OGCD, so an ability, in the last like quarter of the cooldown of your weapon skill. So to demonstrate, I'll use Heart of Corundum. That is technically an ability. You wouldn't need to late weave that in most situations, but if you were to do that, it would look like this. So that is a late weave. If you're playing fast Gunbreaker, so a GCD of 2.46 or faster, then No Mercy has to be done like so. If you do that, and none of your GCDs clip, you will just barely fit the 9th GCD inside, assuming you have no like outlying lag issues and you don't mess up the rotation. The exact order of your cooldowns in No Mercy is not super important. The recommended way to go about it is to make sure that Gnashing Fang comes out first, then Sonic Break, and then Double Down. There's not a particular reason for that order. The key thing is that Gnashing Fang is nice to do because that means it'll come up in 30 seconds, and that means that it will line up perfectly with No Mercy again. But Sonic Break and Double Down can be done in either order. I believe the reason why you would do Sonic Break first is simply because you want to get the dot out sooner so that its damage over time can manage to resolve quicker. Or earlier. Doesn't go any faster by using it earlier. So I think that's pretty much it. So to demonstrate, and I'll use my OTCs in somewhat random fashion. It's not super important which order the OTCs are used in, as long as they're all used. That is the key thing. Like, yes, if you want to do it perfectly, there's an optimal way to do it. But the important thing is using them on cooldown. So we do this. And then we late weave No Mercy. And I messed it up. I did a triple weave. That was a mistake. That is how quickly you can mess it up. I will try again in 2 minutes when Bloodfest is ready. Alright? What else do we have? There's this 90%. Maybe like in 5 minutes. Maybe not, like 5 minutes left till going into the game. VD says, I miss the chaos of everyone sprinting for the teleport in Praetorium. That, like, on one hand, I liked it. It was really funny. On the other hand, I always was thinking of all the sprouts. Just... what's happening? Like, what's going on? Everyone's just rushing all over the place. That's okay, Bobby. If I didn't have time to answer that, I would just have, like, to demonstrate it, I would have just said, like, given you a general idea of it, and then just said, I don't have time to explain it. But I have time to explain it, and I have time to demonstrate it. So the origin of these streams, these oops, all, whatever streams, is specifically, I do them only after making a guide. So this is supposed to be a demonstration of how the job works in, like, in practice, for example. If you have outlined questions about the job, then this is a perfect place to ask it, because that's why we're doing it, to, like, get some practical experience with the job. So I welcome it. There's questions about Gunbreaker. This is the perfect time to do it. Yeah, sometimes there isn't a stream for a job, like, alongside the guide, because it just didn't happen because other stuff came up. But I have a list of the jobs that never got one of these streams. They're coming eventually when when the schedule lines up for that. But there's never a oops, only X or all X without an accompanying guide. Like, it's A without B, but never B without A, right? Right, now we have time to go again. To go again. I can use this dummy over here. It's fine, Orion. Enjoy. Right. So just to be perfectly fair here, the opener that most Gunbreakers are recommended to use opens with the lightning shot, so I will do that. It's not really important for the opener itself, but it's technically what people are recommended to use. So let's do that to lessen the confusion. So late weave, no mercy. And then we make sure we don't get it wrong. And then we have time for a burst strike. And 1, 2. Now, you might say, wait, but no mercy ended there, right? So, it was a crit, and it did like 12,000 damage, the solid barrel at the end. So the question is, how much damage does solid barrel crits do without no mercy? That is the key thing to demonstrate that this was done correctly, or incorrectly for that matter. So we'll do that this a little bit to see if we did it right. I just needed to crit. Now watch me not get a crit for 10 minutes, right? Right, so from that we can conclude that I missed it. Because my solid barrel crit for 12,000, and that's approximately what it should do without no mercy. So we will try again. So the key thing is that with 246 is, and even 247 is the slowest you can be. Like 247 is like, not only is your connection immaculate, but your timing of the late weave is perfect. 246 gives you like a tiny bit of leeway on that, like a minuscule amount of leeway. Like generally, if you want to go fast Gunbreaker, I would recommend no slower than 245, but technically 246 and 247 can do it. So saying that they can't would be lying, right? But I would recommend 245, yeah. Originally I actually recommended like 243. as like a somewhat comfy way of doing it. It used to be even faster than that people would recommend, to be absolutely sure, but when you get to like 2.4, it becomes like almost, it isn't possible, but it becomes almost possible to do it without the late weave in the first place. But it is very, very, very tight. So let me see if I can get it right this time, right? I think I clipped my GCD a little bit there, but that's fine. That is actually more likely to lead to the 9th GCD. It's more likely, it's not perfect. I don't know if that counted. But what is GCD clipping? So GCD clipping is, so the reason why you don't triple weave is because it does GCD clipping. GCD clipping is when you use an OGCD so late that the animation lock from the OGCD itself bleeds into the next GCD. So like if I use Aurora like normally, like this, I can easily do the next GCD, right? But if I use Aurora, which is an ability, like when there's an 1/8 of the GCD left, then it will clip my next GCD. It will cause the next GCD to be delayed by like 0.4 seconds or 0.3 seconds or something like that, depending on how slow I am. Like so. You see, I was clicking the button, but nothing was happening because it was in the animation lock. It also affects your ping. Typically, the animation lock after using an action, aside from like specific exceptions, is half a second plus 2 times your latency. So if you're playing on 20 ms, it's like 0.54. If you're playing on 200 ms, then it's 0.9. And that is also part of the reason why people say that triple weaving should never be done, is because a typical average that people assume is that you have an MS of like anywhere between 20 and 60, somewhere between that. So if you just assume the maximum, right, so you assume it's going to be 60, then your GCD, the animation lock after each action, is going to be 0.625, which is exactly a fourth of the base GCD of 2.5. And that means that if you have a GCD of 2.5, then the action itself, so for example Keen Edge, takes a fourth, so exactly up to like the first quarter of the GCD in animation lock. Then you do, I don't know, Blasting Zone, that takes another quarter, and then you do something like, I don't know, Bow Shock, and then it takes another quarter. And then if you also do Rough Divide, it takes another quarter. But that's assuming that it's perfect. And it's not. It's not perfect. And if your GCD is less than 2.5, it is not going to work. Right? So that's why you don't triple weave, and that is what clipping is. So, I can't seem to get this right now, or I'm making a miscalculation when I'm estimating how much damage solid barrels should be doing. Let me test something else. Just to see if I'm being an idiot. Right. Yeah, it seems I can't do it right now, but I would normally never play fast Gunbreaker at 246. Specifically because of how difficult it is to perform the 9th GCD exactly on time. I typically recommend 2.5 if you're going slow. If you prefer to go fast, then I would recommend faster. I know that one of my resident viewers, Santu, mains Gunbreaker, and he said that he preferred to play Gunbreaker at 2.4, specifically because it's both fast, it's more lenient, and it works really nicely with with weaving. So that sounds weird, perhaps. At 2.4. So the reason why 2.40 is nice is because of a few things. The first one is that it means that you have 25 global cooldowns in a minute instead of 24. A very nice little observation there that your GCD changes from 2.5 to 2.4, so your GCD count changes from 24 to 25. That means easier resource generation. It means that you basically have a GCD to lose every minute, because if you miss not a single GCD on 2.5, then your rotation will work perfectly, looping and everything. Like it works, it does work. But if the boss moves, could you imagine if the boss moves? I know, unimaginable. Then you might miss one GCD, and then you're behind one GCD, and you're going to stay behind one GCD for the rest of the fight. But if your GCD is 2.4, then you have a GCD to lose. Now, that is also very, very nice and convenient, because if your GCD is 2.4, then you can fit 9 GCDs in your burst. So sometimes you're going to spend more GCDs, right? You're going to spend more resources in your bursts. So like, these things match really well together. But the last thing, and this is something that I touch a little bit on in my Gunbreaker guide, is in relation to continuation. So I will put on my actual Gunbreaker gear again, which was at 2.5, just to demonstrate this. So we don't need No Mercy for this. The only thing we need is Gnashing Fang, Continuation, and Blasting Zone, and 1, 2, 3 combos. So if I early weave Blasting Zone, right? If I early weave Blasting Zone, then it will be an early weave in 30 seconds. So I do Gnashing Fang, Blasting Zone, Continuation, and then I just finish the combo. And then I just do GCDs until Gnashing Fang is ready again. Then you'll see what I mean. Now, the reason why it's interesting specifically in this context is because it's specifically different if your GCD is 2.4. It's a little bit more difficult for me to demonstrate that one, but I can explain it. So you can see, Gnashing Fang, Blasting Zone, Continuation. Perfectly lines up. I could flip them, but then I have delayed Blasting Zone like half a second for no reason. Now the reason why this is interesting is because if your GCD is 2.4, then early weaves, so if you're not sure what an early weave is, it's basically fancy schmancy term for use the ability as early as possible, in contrast to late weaving, which is as late as possible, right? So if you early weave Blasting Zone on a GCD of 2.5, if you don't miss a GCD, then it's going to be early weave every time. This applies for all jobs, by the way. Like, as long as the cooldown is a multiple of 2.5, and fun fact, all abilities have a cooldown that is a multiple of 2.5, so but if your GCD is 2.4, if your GCD is 2.4 instead, then abilities that have a cooldown of 30 seconds, if you early weave it, then 30 seconds later it's going to come up as a late weave. And then 30 seconds later it's going to come up as an early weave again. Which means that if your GCD is 2.4 and your opener with No Mercy, you early weave Blasting Zone, then Blasting Zone is going to be a late weave in the small burst 30 seconds later. And then an early weave in your next No Mercy. Back and forth. Which can be really convenient, because depending on how you make your opener, Blasting Zone might be like weaved with Sonic Break during your burst. It probably is. But it's weaved with like Savage Claw in your mini burst, right? So there's there's like a lot of things that can play into this, but to answer Bobby's original question regarding the 247 thing, it's really hard. that is basically the conclusion. It's really hard. If you feel that it is impossible to do, just get a little bit more skill speed. That's fine. Alevine says 2.5 is much more punishing if you miss a GZD though, which is difficult on high-end encounters if you just started learning the class. That is true, but your leeway to fit all your 8 GZDs in your No Mercy window is a lot nicer than the leeway for the 8 GZDs. For the 9 GZDs on the fast one. But as my point was originally, that the weakness of 2.5, which is also what I said a little bit ago, is that if you miss a GZD anywhere in a fight, then you will always be like, what was it I said? Yeah, if you miss 2.50 Gunbreaker has precisely the amount of GSDs necessary to loop their rotation and have exactly the resources they need for every single burst. Which sounds good, right up until you remember that bosses can move. Because that means that if you miss 1 GZD, then you're always 1 GZD behind, and if you miss 2 or 3 GZDs, then you're 3 GZDs behind, and that could mean that you're 1 cartridge behind, and then suddenly maybe you don't have the cartridges to use double down on time, for example. This can then solve itself when you're 4 or 5 or 6 GZDs behind, because then maybe you're a burst strike behind, right? But yeah, 2.5 is it's nice when things don't go wrong, but things are bound to go wrong. That is basically what it boils down to. This is also why my guide spends a lot of time talking about the fact that how much skill speed you want is highly like up to preference. You can do whatever you want, as long as you don't like go too far overboard. Like I think 2.3, then maybe you should have played Black Mage. Hey Mark Anthony, thank you so much, and you have a nice one too. Kayan says, how much did I miss? You missed Expert Roulette and me talking about Gunbreaker for 20 minutes. Demon says, I feel like every job can be described as nice until things go wrong. I really like playing Warrior, because when things go wrong, Warrior doesn't care that much. I also like playing Summoner, because when things go wrong, Summoner doesn't care that much. I also like playing Reaper, but they care a little bit more about that. So, Bobby says, I gotta head to bed. Okay, thank you for checking in. Ross says, in Goldbags you have to miss at least 1 GZD and Void Stardust, unless you do some crazy melee uptime strats. If you're really, really good at it, you might be able to do it just right. But you're correct. The thing you could do on that, which is of course you're sacrificing DPS in one spot to gain in a different spot, is you can compensate for losing 1 GZD by using 1 AoE combo. That will catch you back up. But it comes at a potency loss, and a massive potency loss, honestly. Like you're using 2 times 130 potency. Like, you could use Keynet twice, and that would be better. But if cartridges matter more, you could do that. If it helps your performance in the fight, that you don't have like a janky burst for the rest of the fight, then that is going to be a DPS increase for you. But it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Like Anthony says, I decided to run 245 Warrior this tier, and I just press invuln for maximum uptime. Does that work in that mechanic? Oh yeah, the Void Stack. It could work, but wouldn't you get a vuln stack? That might hurt. Well, I don't know. We'll see. If it works for you, that's fine. Right. Anyway, do you guys want to do some more roulettes? Bone stacks, my beloved. Could you imagine if warriors gained resources from taking damage, then it would certainly be Vuln stacks, my beloved. Gold base is still doable. P10S, you can't compensate as 2.50 Gunbreaker and will continue to drift, especially on the Knock, Tank Buster and turrets. Well, you can compensate by using an AoE combo, it's just a DPS loss, as I said. Yeah, that is also why this is specifically the part of the reasons why sometimes 2.50 Gunbreakers have to deal with going into a burst with only 2 cartridges. Because sometimes this can happen, and this typically doesn't happen for 2.4. And again, I just want to be clear here, because I feel like it almost sounds like we're having a contest. I'm not saying that 2.5 or 2.4 is better. The whole point that I was trying to make is that it's a point of preference. Some players don't care about this lost GCD that messes with your rotation. And some players do care. Some players want the 8 GCD version because they want double down to do slightly more damage. And some people want the 9th GCD because they like it a little faster. Because there's a lot of room to play around with it the way you like it. In game, we're suggesting we could do 3 Gunbreakers and a DPS because Orion does not have Gunbreaker available. I don't know, does Orion have a DPS available? Oh, you played Summoner earlier. Rust says, involing Enum won't kill you, but it seems like it can kill your partner. Well, is Enum the thing that comes after the Stardust? Because there the important thing is that the Stardust is what's going to keep you away from the boss for 1 GCD, but your stack partner for the pairs should run into melee range afterwards. So that's a minor thing. You just have to not die from it. Right, so we couldn't get we could not get 4 Gunbreakers, but we could get 3 Gunbreakers. The Stardust gives you a magic vuln. Oh. Oh, and it doesn't count? It doesn't count if you have invulnerability? Oh. Right, if you are currently progressing through the Endwalker story on your main,
Once
you
upon
might...
a time, there was a beautiful blue star.
You might find this a little too spoilery.
And rotted inside.
But of course, out of context, it's not
the more its people
Wait,
came to life,
wait.
the more they suffered.
There you go. Why is it always like that? Yeah, I don't know. This can be... With 3 Gunbreakers, the difficult part is, can we get our Hearts of Corundum used wisely? That was a very, very bad Bloodfest. Can I has Hearts of Corundum? It wants to meet your end.
An until they curse not the illness, but their fellow corrupted.
You might be right, Ross, that it works like that. That it doesn't count if you're invulning it. Like that would be a very interesting trick to make sure you don't cheese the mechanic. I'll use Heart of Grundom early here, so that the mine is taken down as we're fighting the mobs. This does a lot of damage, please. This is basically the what if the only kind of healing button we had was excogitation and its variants. Ross says, on the GCD discussion, I feel as someone still rather mediocre, faster GCD, also reverse drifting your weapon skill cooldowns is nice to recover mistakes over some time. That is also true. That is also a similar reason. Just a moment. Nice for cooldown recovery, by the way. Part of the reason why jobs that hate GCD, like skill speed, like Machinist or Dancer, and Gunbreaker in the slow mode, and Reaper, like these kind of jobs, the reason why they like a little bit of skill speed, like a 249 or even a 248, is because it makes it easier to recover if you fall behind. And then also, it is usually the first is really cheap. It's like 1 skill speed materia. And the second one doesn't cost us that much either, but that is one of the reasons. And also, that's true. If you get hit by the debuff or the wind, you're dead. You're dead.
Those who lived and festered. Those who died and decayed.
I think the best way to... this is actually most easily done if you all clump together like a group. Means there's only going to be AoEs in one spot, and since we have to clump together for the next mechanic anyway... I was almost forgetting about No Mercy there again because I was focused on surviving. And then I just skipped a GZD myself to fix it instead. Like, just stop and think. This works. Now I'm a little sad that I used the Heart of Corundum a little early. I didn't do that much damage, so it's fine. There we go. Very nice.
And the very last of them wished they had never.
And it's even
been born.
fending gear. It's Shrimple. Just don't get hit. Umia says, Orion, remember to spam physic. The second boss isn't that problematic. The difficult part is that there are a lot of ways to get hit. So if you're not comfortable with the fight in the first place, then it doesn't get easier to not have a healer to help you. Give Hearts of Corundum or I'm going to die. Guys? You have to use Heart of Corundum on me, otherwise it doesn't work. Like, as long as whoever's tanking is below 50% health, Heart of Corundum is just like, yeah, if all the Gunbreakers use it at the same time, it doesn't work that well, but as long as the tank is at 50% or less, you can just use it as an 800 potency heal. But either everyone, like either all tanks need to have like tank stance on so that the enemies attack randomly, and that's not very effective. There's a reason why you normally use a main tank, or you use you clump it on one person. I would recommend just clumping it on one person. That is the reason why you normally have one tank. But we can try the chaos of 3 Royal Guards and see who dies, because then all tanks have to go every man for himself and just let the others die. All the Royal Guards. Who are you, Dante? Yes, we are all Dante. I messed up a lot there. I completely messed up my Gnashing Fang combo by finishing my Solid Barrel combo. Oh well. We'll get them next time. As long as I don't die. No future. That is scary. Mostly for Orion, because if the Russian Roulette of the boss spinning around just so happens the point where Orion happens to be standing when the laser tank buster comes up. It's just immediate death. Hello, my hero. How are you doing? As many Gunbreakers as we can scrounge together. Oh. Someone has gotten the tank buster. That's a lot of damage. How are you doing? Need to keep our only DPS alive. That's true, Rust. If someone gets the Doom effect from messing up anything on the last boss, they're dead.
There were none left to answer.
I mean, Orion can raise someone, but pretty tired and literally sitting for 2 hours trying to get a party to start prog on P11S. That looks like fun, by the way, playing with Gunbreakers like that. Yes, it is. It is quite silly. But that sucks. You couldn't find a group? I mean, P11S is a little early now since the reset was today. I would assume that's why. I tried to see if we can get like an actual at least one duty roulette where we get a bunch of the job for the stream. It's not going to be all Gunbreaker only because we simply can't find that many people. But we'll do some roulettes like this. Oh boy. When you're weaving Super Polite going, I don't know if I'll actually live to see the weave.
What its people had gained from ease, they lost to apathy.
You know, Ymir, you will thank yourself tomorrow when you ace that math exam. Like, you will thank yourself for not coming along. You said that you have a hard time like calming down for bed if you're gaming like this. So, gee, I sure hope that there's another Gunbreaker that will either taunt some things or give heals. Thank you. Oh, Shade is also low. We're all low. We're all in danger a little bit. I think that was very, very nice. More mitigation! More mitts! More mitts! Come on, throw more mitts! It's the alternative to Onyxia Vibe animation. Just checking if anyone needs to wait a second for a cooldown or anything. I'm sure you'll ace it, Ymir. You just heard me talk math on stream. How, like, that is basically like a raid buff, and I'm sure it'll last.
Its steps were light, and its gift was as painless as it
Franz.
was beautiful.
Come back here! Get over here! I'm trying to combo you! Oh boy.
Bathed in its golden glow, they all slept happily ever after.
I don't think my double down hit anything. Oh, that's nice. Yes, cleave the wall, Rala. Please. Go on then. Cleave the wall. Oh, Aurora from different Gunbreakers stack. Nice. And apparently the healing portion of Heart of Corundum also stacks. Neat. Sweet. That's going to make this a lot easier. I didn't even realize that. So many cartridges. Oh, nice. Oh, that was almost death. The tip of your tail died on this day, Orion. Nice. Very good. But did we have 1 or 2 deaths? I think we had 1. Ross says regions from dupe, white mages and astrologians also stack. Oh, I know that those stack, but I didn't know for sure if like you have to remember, like, for example, Adlocuriums don't stack, but to be fair on that one, they specifically state that they don't stack. And now you're giving me the heals. But yeah, that's why, because sometimes things stack, sometimes they don't. That's why you can't ever be sure. Like, remember, most damage reduction doesn't stack. Like, I'm pretty sure Aqua Veils from 2 white mages will not stack. Just as an example. But healing appears to be consistent, as Ross says. Right, the next one on the list is 50, 60, 70, 80. That basically just requires that you have a Gunbreaker for us all to go Gunbreaker. Though it's going to be really hard when we don't have Heart of Corundum. Or we go with a normal group. That also works. We can also go with a normal group. That is totally fine. Ymir got the Ifrit mount? What do you mean? Oh, you mean the horse? The this one? Ross says, I swear the shield healers OGCD regions can't stack. They do stack. At least not with the same skill. I might be wrong though. Hey, anyone here in the group has Sage? Anyone here with Sage? Can we get some Sage action for a moment? I'm not going to queue for anything. Right, use Rizomata to produce an Adder Skull. Rizomata. Then use Keraholi, the shield, the 10% shield. I will use mine when I see yours. So just use it whenever you hear me say it. Just go whenever. One damage reduction, 3 regions. Then use Physis 2 when you hear me say it. Just go whenever. Three regions, 1 healing boost. So yeah, those stack. But they stack in a really janky way because only the healing stacks. That is usually good enough, but it still kind of sucks, right? If you have, like, if you land in a normal raid, or an alliance raid for that matter, and you have double Sage, then if both Sages actually, like, work together, you could have a permanent Keraholi effect on your party, like, from the start to finish of the entire raid. Now, the difficult part is actually timing that. We could do Panheimer as well. Just all use Panheimer when you hear me say it. Just go. And here we have the inconsistency. Or is it? Or is it because it's a barrier? It's technically a barrier. So it shouldn't stack, because barriers usually don't stack. But it doesn't say that it doesn't stack. So what gives? Also, hey Matthew. Yeah, barriers don't stack. For some reason. Right. What were we doing? We're doing a normal group composition for 50, 60, 70, 80, yeah? Yeah, double Holos does not stack either. Yeah, it's very... It seems to be consistent with, as Rust said, that healing over time seems to stack, but damage reduction does not, and barriers do not. Orion says, my friend calls it numbers roulette. I normally call it 5, 6, 7, 8, but now that we're talking with, like, I don't know what you normally call it, the easiest way is to just call it exactly what it calls itself. 50, 60, 70, 80, which is really, really long. I think... By the way, Matthew, are you doing well today? I can't remember if I even saw you in the chat. I feel like I did. What do we get? We probably, well, a 50 or 60 dungeon. It gets extra weird if it's a 50, because then Gunbreaker has very little tools. Yeah, nice, Emir. Remember, if you get all of the horses, you can get a special mount for collecting all of them. It's also a horse. Wanderer's Palace. No, this is one of the weirder level 50 dungeons in my opinion. Oh look, mobs. Let's not kill them. More mobs. How about... And then there's just randomly extra spawning mobs. How about a tonberry? Do you like tonberries? Anybody in the chat likes tonberries? How about the extremely excessively long gigapoles by the tank? In retrospect, I could probably have pulled that tonberry over there as well, but I felt like I was really pushing it already. That's why I stopped. You want tonberry as a job? Hey Pokejack, how are you doing? You want just a knife as a job? Actually, Blue Mage has a spell they can learn called Sharpened Knife. You might be wondering where they get it from. Well, good to hear. I'm also doing well. We had a 3 Gunbreaker and 1 Summoner dead ends earlier. Would the job quest person for the knife, for knife, be the tonberry that stalks you in this dungeon? Maybe. Yes. I like how it specifically says can be cured with Asuna. Does this predate there being oh, it's already dead. Does this predate there being a blue line over removable debuffs? And the quest to make him the new king. What? That's just a tonberry in the doorway. That's a little spooky. I don't think I've seen it like that before. Like literally just standing in the doorway like, hello. Welcome to our estate. Knife jump scare. More like a jumping knife scare. It's really funny when you're doing this dungeon and one of the tonberries die like further down the hallway, and you don't actually, and no one picks up the lantern oil, because you only need one. You need 2 of the lantern oils in this room to progress, which means that if you forget to pick it up, then you'll be in the further room, being like, why doesn't it work? I'll find you. Don't find me. Like this one. Don't find me. Don't taste me, bro. Here's Johnny. Here's Tonberry. Let's just randomly treasure hunters again. This part of the dungeon is like... I remember the first few times I got this dungeon. Every time we would get to this room and wouldn't be entirely sure what you were supposed to do. So we just run around. Like, that one is obvious, but it's not really obvious where the rest of them are. Excuse me. Ow. Excuse me. Excuse me. Are those ranged? Are you kidding me? I should have seen that coming. Of course they're ranged. It's those floaty balloon boys. They're always ranged. But still. Did I steal your joke? I'll pat you on the back for that horror joke. Fair enough. I'm sorry I stole your joke. Oh look, treasure. Whoop. Can someone do the thing? Thank you. You pat him in the back with a knife. It's just a friendly pat on the back with a sharp object. Isuna is a DPS loss. Yeah, well, the thing is, and I actually maybe a blade. Blade. Nice. It's a pat on the back with a blade. And does it also come with a back cleave blade? Or is it only the front cleave? But yeah, I do talk about this in my healer guides usually, that yeah, Isuna can remove anything, but you don't have to remove something like a poison debuff, like a damage over time effect, if it does so little damage that it doesn't matter, right? I think I talk about that. I usually say something to the effect of the only way to know whether it's actually worth it to use Isuna on something like that is to let it play out and just see if you need it. Like, see whether you shouldn't have let it tick or not. There's a lot of mobs here. And I should actually put them over here, where the ranged mobs are. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage. Oh boy. Oh dear. Oh my. Oh me, oh my. A little bit. I didn't need to do that. Sorry. I saw that I was like one swing away from death, but then everything died. Maybe I'll gift you 2 meteors instead. Every blade comes with both cleaves. If Lemon becomes a knife main, Lemon will exclusively be using the double stab. The true blade main. This is one of the most ominous boss fights in the game. Because the thing is, those tonberries like just walk slowly towards you. And I'm never entirely sure whether they're actually dangerous or not. But what I do know is if you kill them, they make the boss's next step hurt more. So if you kill too many of them and the fight takes too long, then the Tonberry King will just eventually go, you know what, I'm done with the tank, and just kill them. And there's nothing you can do about it because you killed too many Tonberries. Push you while I'm at it. Will it also come with like 2 flare markers, Ymir? Oh yeah, we didn't use limit break. Did we? Right. Next, we have leveling. Ryan said, be right back. So we will wait a minute for that. Yeah, for those that are feeling a little bit left out, Blade is a meme we have from our extreme progress streams, the extreme boss uses an attack where it cleaves with a blade in front of them and then immediately back afterwards behind them. So it's a double cleave, and all we say to announce it is blade. Yeah, and of course the whoopsie emote. It'll also have stardust. Oh, nice. That sounds very pretty. Is it like spread on your knife or? Blade, the brother of Whoopsie. Yeah, you could say that. No, on my blade. No, I will not put stardust on my knife. I will put it on my blade. Oops, all knife jobs. We could do that. We could do that. Like you go here, and then you need this. This is what you need. This knife. This will be your tomb. You see, we have knife. This blade will be your tomb. Note to self, unlock Blue Mage. And Blue Mage is really fun. So the thing is, I would love to just like make streams where I play Blue Mage. The reason why we play other jobs on the solo challenge stream is because I know, like, I don't even have to test the majority of encounters to know for a fact that Blue Mage can solo it. So I don't think it's really impressive. Pleocroic says that blade thing is annoying. Well, I'm sorry about that. It's a meme we have here. It's a joke. Your Blue Mage is relatively simple in its functionality. But the thing that makes it difficult is that you have to plan your weaves, so to speak, in very strict detail. You might have heard that you can technically double weave if your GCD is if the spell you cast is relatively short. The way Blue Mage manages to weave everything that it has in a short time frame is by using things like Sharpened Knife or where is it? Sonic Boom, which only has a 1 second cast time. So use that, and then you double weave, and then you cast it again, and you double weave, and then you cast it again, and then you double weave. You can do that, but the difficult thing is doing that and then also remembering everything. You also have things that either require a macro or you have to double click it because of things like Eruption and Feather Rain that have to like be... It's a placed attack. So it can get a little hectic. Jade says, why does it happen that while Nelva changes around, our HP gets minus and plus? So, if you've ever been in a party and noticed that as people approach and is in the same area as you and are different roles, or they switch jobs around to be different roles, the HP in your party changes. That's because for each role represented in your group, you get a 1% bonus on all the primary attributes. So if you have 4 different roles, combat roles represented notably, then you would have 4%. The way that party bonus worked, and I mentioned this in my history videos, is before Shadowbringers, party bonus worked like this. You gained a 3% bonus in the attribute associated with a specific role if you had at least one job of that role represented. Typically, it was represented by whatever the primary attribute of that role was. So, for example, a tank would give vitality, while a samurai or a dragoon would give strength. And healers would give mind, and mages would give intelligence, and ranged physical, and I think ninjas would give dexterity. But that was 3% per role. With Shadowbringers, it was changed to instead just be, oh, you just get 1% in everything for each role represented, which of course both means that you would cap out at 5% instead of 3%, but it also means that you had incentive to bring all roles. A key problem with the old system is that the only jobs that actually cared very much about getting dexterity was the ranged physical jobs and ninjas. Not entirely, because apparently, supposedly, dexterity had an impact on your ability to parry and block, I believe. But not anymore. So there was a very, very, very mild, like small, teeny, tiny reason to bring a dexterity job for that defensive utility. And then, of course, the utility that, like, you know, bards in Stormblood and before could recover MP for the entire raid, which is pretty neat. But the key thing is that the party bonus is in the game to motivate you to bring a variety of jobs. If you've ever wondered why the balanced raid team has, well, one of each DPS type, and then like one free slot that is often a melee DPS but isn't bound to be a melee DPS, that's why. And you're always going to have 2 healers and 2 tanks, but you could absolutely have any combination of DPS. So to incentivize you having a balanced team, they give you a little reward for doing that. I ask in the chat, ready for leveling roulette, and then don't do a ready check. I see that Orion is crafting something. Yeah, we will hopefully. I don't know if anyone else wants to come along and are just waiting for there to be space, but the rest of the roulettes we'll be doing after leveling roulette will of course be more than 4 slots. Are you ready, Orion? Hey Phoenix, how are you doing? And then we do Royal Guard. This comes off when we enter a dungeon. That scales us down. And it says I joined, but I'm almost done with 3.0 and I want to finish it up. That's okay. It is only an offer. If you want to join for the roulettes and you have a character that like is in the data center, you're welcome to, but it is not a requirement. So many mobs. Yeah, Samal, did you just go? Have you just been there, Lemon? No, you haven't. You're level 50. You're in 3.0 finale. That's not surprising. We had level 50 and 60 stuff. Kill the Drake Spur. Ow, ow, ow. That was an unfortunate timing for my Super Bolide. Hey Jabba, how are you doing? And hey Raziel, how are you doing? Says, my team and I are doing weekly normal raid and daily roulettes tonight. Maybe we'll end up with the same group. Oh. That's nice. If you're less than 5 people, we might just be able to join up if you want. Jaber says, don't you think it's good to use arm's length on big pools? Yeah, I do, but I used Super Bolide instead because I already had some cooldowns running and I was about to die. But I do. I recommend using arm's length on most of my tanking guides, if not all of them. Because it's like it's going to waste if you're not using it, right? But the thing is that you try to use it with extra spells. Is that okay? Sure. I would say if you use it, like, the best one to use it alongside would be Reprisal, because Reprisal itself isn't super strong. So like arm's length can add a little bit of extra oomph. Well, Reprisal can compensate for the fact that arm's length takes a hit or two before you can actually feel that it's slowing down the damage. And then arm's length being significantly stronger, or slightly stronger than Reprisal, then makes them combine for a slightly better effect in combination. So how strong is arm's length? It increases the time between attacks for enemies by 20%. And that is equivalent to something like 16.667% damage reduction. That's somewhere between something like Camouflage and Rampart in power. But because of its inconsistency, because it's a little slow, some enemies might straight up not swing at you in the time frame that they need to activate it. Not all of the enemies might actually be affected. So it's not the most reliable one. It's usually kind of reliable, but you can't trust it to be absolutely certain. Like, I wouldn't rely on it on its own unless you're like kind of forced to do that. Like, if you don't have any other cooldowns left, then you'll just have to eat it. But yeah, arm's length is good. Not using it leads to... Oh, whoops. I wanted to stun that, and then I didn't have it. But yeah, all defensive cooldowns are good. The only thing is arm's length is a little weird. So a lot of people completely forget that it even exists in the first place as a defensive option, because it's weird. And then also it doesn't work on bosses. So some players just write it off because of that. Why would I care if it doesn't work on bosses? And also because the tooltip of it is kind of confusing, I guess. actually, not even that. It doesn't, it does only kind of mention that it slows enemies on attack, but it describes it in a weird way. Normally I would have assumed that arm's length would say creates a barrier, nullifying most knockback and drawing effects, and slows attackers, but instead it just says the knockback thing, and then in an additional effect goes, oh, it also does this other thing, by the way. So it doesn't really help its case. If I hadn't watched your videos, I would not know. Plus the sprint 20 second is a big help. Oh, right. Yeah, you know what? There's nothing wrong with not knowing that one. The thing is that, for those that don't know, if you use sprint while in combat, then it obviously lasts 10 seconds. But if you use it before entering combat, then it lasts 20 seconds. Which means that you can run longer, and it stays at 20 seconds even if you like pull 1 second after you use sprint, you still get the full 20 seconds. So using it exactly like that gives you a lot more time to sprint. I had a friend who had at least one, if not two ultimates under their belt, right? At least one, if not two. And they didn't know this. Because they didn't need it to clear ultimates, of course. But that was more to say that a lot of people don't know these small tricks. Oh. Wait, really? Wow. That was really short. Oh, did they nerf this dungeon? I know they changed it a bit, but that was really short. Did they make it so that that fight intentionally is shorter? Like we were missing the whole green blob mechanic. How boring. Shade says, many people don't know that you only need to stand in the ring of the stack marker, not on the player. I haven't heard anyone that said that, but not a lot of people talk about how they deal with boss mechanics. So I imagine that I would trust that you're right, that you've met a bunch of people that do that. Otherwise you wouldn't say that. Do the other things spawn if we pull the mob in, or is it just not? Is it just not going to let us rush this thing along? No? No? Okay. Ow. Oh boy. Gunbreaker always feels really awkward when you don't even have the Gnashing Fang combo. Very easy to forget about Danger Zone there. These are also really weak, but that is normal. I do remember that they said they had adjusted things, but I don't really know what they changed. Like, I know that they changed the Devil Joe, as Emia put it. They adjusted it. Before, it had blue markers and orange markers, and they were blue for the blue slime and orange for the orange slime. And the reason why that was absolutely ridiculous was because the orange marker, as you know, is a spread marker. But on that fight, in that fight, that's a stack marker, if I remember correctly. I didn't actually pay much attention. I'm pretty sure the blue ones were the ones that became spread markers here, like the pink spread markers. But back then, the blue markers were spread markers, and the orange marker was a stat marker. But how would you know that? And because nowadays, it's like the orange one is a spread marker, it was completely backwards. Like, how would you possibly be able to do that mechanic correctly? Like, without knowing the fight specifically. Uh-oh. Oh, that did very, very, very little damage. I was certain that those proximity AoEs were going to hurt a lot more, and then they just didn't. It ate my solid barrel. No, I'll just be invulnerable for a few extra seconds, don't worry about it. What, did we get 2 limit breaks? What? How did we get another limit? Did you not finish the first one? What happened? How did we get 2? For some reason we got 2 limit breaks. That must compensate for the limit breaks we forgot on the other fights, huh, Emir? Emir says, I'm sad my cats finally came home from the cat place they were staying and now they're avoiding me. Maybe they're angry because they were left at a cat place. They're blaming you. I've heard of cats, like, being angry and cross with their owners if they've been away for a while. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Not my fault we're going on holiday. No, it isn't, but your cat doesn't understand that. Right, we're doing trials next. If anyone wants to join up with the group. I'll take the echoing silence as no. Demetrius is a cat owner. I can confirm that my cats get very upset when I'm gone for a long time. I'm going on vacation soon, and I know they're going to be mad at me. Oh dear. Wait a minute. Hey, Matthew, do you want to join? Are you on the party finder grind? I don't know. I don't even know if Matthew is in the stream. If they're just hanging out. I'll give it a moment. I'll take that as a no thank you then. Wait. Is this good? Are you fine? I saw some job changes. Maria says, would have loved to join, but I'm on NA. Oh, one day we'll have worldwide travel, and that's going to be a fun day. But thank you. This is one of the weird ones. I'm not even sure what you're supposed. I do believe you have to kill Enkidu first, because if you don't, it'll use White Wind to heal Gilgamesh. So you have to kill Enkidu first. It's the last holiday you'll have with your family for a couple of years. Oh boy. Well, I hope you enjoy it at the very least. It is surprisingly unlikely, yeah. You don't want to go. Even if it's the last one? Eh. But the things I do for family, I know, right? Oh boy. That is a long slow. Nice. I acquired Isunas from the healers. Now I'm no longer very slow. Oh dear. Everyone's a chicken. Well, most everyone's a chicken. No! My combo ended the instant that I was actually able to follow up on it. You're going to go to South Africa for 3 weeks. I would not be very comfortable with doing that myself either. I'm very bad at traveling. I totally understand that. Cutscenes. Using my... Maria says, using your playing as reference to get good at Gunbreaker. Well, this is supposed to work both as a fun, entertaining stream and also as some supplement to the Gunbreaker guides I put up last week. So, I hope you learned something. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Chain, I believe. Oh yeah, the classic spiked chain or spiked tether, spiked tether. Ow, ow, ow. That is a long tank buster. I'm not sure if we actually need to deal with the heads, but it seems like we're going to be in this fight for a while, so we might not want to ignore the heads at the very least. Like, that is typically the argument for ignoring a mechanic is, well, we're not going to be here for very long, so... Maybe if we ignore it, it'll go away. Emir says, I don't like playing jobs at level 50. A lot of people don't. I think the main problem is actually, like, a lot of jobs feel very unfinished, or they lack a lot of tools at level 50. Ironically, I feel that that is an advantage of Black Mage. You might think that is absolutely insane, but Black Mage having a completely different level 50 rotation to its level 60 and above rotation means that when you're playing Black Mage at level 50, you're not really, like, missing your toolkit in the same way that other jobs might. Like, yeah, Umbral Soul feels really missing in a way, but aside from this, the rest of your toolkit isn't missing in the same way because you're playing almost a completely different job, in my opinion. And that really, like, helps with that. Some jobs also just perfectly fine at level 50. They have enough of their toolkit, but specifically Black Mage stands out to me. Dragoon feels the same? Really? Oh yeah, because they only have 3-step combos, so they play very different. Instead of going between alternating between two sequences, they do one and then they do the other one multiple times. So it plays very differently, and then it also has a little less cooldowns. So it's a little less overwhelming in that sense. You only have Dragoon at level 51. Well, I can see what you mean though. Like, Dragoon has way more at higher levels, so it plays very differently. The virtue of doing so. A few minute breaks to get some water, Shade says. We can do that. It feels complete already. Well, Dragoon still adds a lot. Unlike Summoner. Feels awful below 70? Why 70? What's the difference between below 60 and below 70? Actually, below 58 and below 70. Bahamut. Well, at level 58, you have everything about the Bahamut state except Bahamut itself and Death Flare. Like, you already have the Astral Impulse stuff. It's just Bahamut that makes the difference. Fair enough. I don't really feel like playing Summon at low level. Why not? Because I don't feel like it if I don't have a dragon next to me. Don't care. And Ruin 4. I don't feel like Ruin 4 plays such a huge part of the rotation, but you can see what you mean. But Dragoon has a lot to add from level 50 to 90. Summoner doesn't. Like, level 58, suddenly your 15-second bursts are all instant, making it way easier. Then you reach level 70, and now you have a dragon next to you while you're doing it, but it doesn't really change anything. Then you reach level 80, and now sometimes there's a phoenix next to you, but it doesn't really change anything. And then you reach level 86, and they give you like 5 new spells. All at once. They could have spaced that out a little bit. You prefer your fancy ruin spam. When you say fancy ruin spam, do you mean Astral Impulse, or do you mean Ruin 3 with Ether Charge? Oh. Well, Orion, you can join up for the No, actually I think no, you can join. You can join. We just have to figure out, I'm just figuring out how low we can go. Do you not have Eden, Orion? Do you not have Eden? It's okay if you don't have Eden. Hello, Pedro Inomoto. How are you doing? You do not have Eden, so it's just Pandemonium. Can we do full level 90 normal roulette? Hey, Coco. How are you doing? You always watch my videos and they're a good help since you're coming back to the game. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. I hope they continue to help you with getting back into the game. I appreciate it, Pedro. Thank you so much. Thank you. Emir says, I vividly remember back on my first character on the free trial. I didn't understand Black Mage, so I just spammed Fire 3. Exactly. Like, it makes sense. You get the bigger fire spell. Why wouldn't you use it? It feels very counterintuitive, right? That Fire 3 and Blizzard 3 are utility buttons. Like, it makes no sense. If you've played any other Final Fantasy game. You don't heal Eden. So what happened here is that if you have a lower level character in your group, like of course everyone has to have access to at least 2 encounters that we all can agree on. Then, like for example, Orion didn't have Alexander or Omega unlocked, so we couldn't get in. Pedro says, can't deny, I still have no idea how to play Black Mage. Black Mage isn't easy. Black Mage is not easy. It takes a while to learn. Like, some players say that it's easy. But that's usually because, like, they got it. Like, they understood it. Not everyone does that. It is not an intuitive job. In fact, I just want to point out that at, like, level 2, the game tells you how Astral Fire and Umbral Ice works. But the way it tells you is, Umbral Ice makes you gain mana quickly. Fire does not. And also Fire makes you do more damage. It doesn't tell you how much damage, so how are you supposed to know if it's actually worth it? Like, it's actually really important whether it's 10%, 20%, or what it actually is, 40, 60, and 80%. And that is pretty crucial to understanding whether there's even a point to casting fire spells. Like, if it's only 5 or 10%, then you might as well just spam ice spells. It's just easier than switching, right?
Joined as one, never to be parted, unbound by past or future in this single perfect moment.
So many buttons, and we don't even have double down for this. You spammed Blizzard until level 35. Ooh. That is what we call an ice mage. That is what we call an ice mage. I cannot remember, I believe. Right, that was a step out. Of course. And that's size. Ice mage is very boring. This fight is I like it. Has a lot of those memory mechanics that I feel like have become a lot more popular. Size. They become more popular in newer encounters, I should say. And I think they're cool. It's an interesting approach. The problem is that a lot of players that play really difficult content. I just realized we have 3 summoners. Why? We have 3 summoners. I noticed because like that's a lot of rekindles. What's happening here? Like, not only do we have 3 summoners, well, 2 of the summoners we brought ourselves, but all of the summoners are good about using rekindle and not themselves. That's good. Good night, Emir. Good luck with exams. Oh, I didn't want my no mercy window. That's fine. It's fine. I didn't want my no mercy window anyway. Let's go. Let's go. I don't even care. My utopia was if I could finish my no mercy window, you know. That your utopia will never complete that way, you know.
Once you are erased from our memory.
You've got to protect her memories. Hurry!
Everyone complaining about the burst window because we managed to have the boss transition at that very moment.
Delicious, aren't they?
These are actually quite good.
Exactly, Lemon. And you can't really do anything about it.
Let's have another one. Half each.
Such fragile things, memories.
Oh boy. That's a problem.
What happened to the other half?
Am I being erased from her memory?
I told you it would make a great necklace.
This is what server you're playing at. I am on Louisoix on Chaos.
Beautiful.
So
I think it
EU.
would really suit you.
Me? But I thought you should have it.
And the knockback. And the knockback. Whew. What went really bad on the first platform was that 2 players, I believe it's random players, get a marker, and it's basically it's Earthshaker, commonly called, and you have to like point those out of the line.
How about this one?
You play on Primal. Yeah, maybe one day when we have worldwide data center travel. Maybe one day.
Now, this one.
We never know when. But maybe. More knockback!
What am I doing with this? I'd never wear this color.
I'd never wear this color.
We can't let this happen.
You are unworthy of my utopia.
Oh. Yeah, maybe one day we will have worldwide data center travel, and that's going to be a good day.
Tranquility and vitality in perfect balance.
Exactly, they mentioned it a little while before they made regional data center travel, that they were like, they would probably try. And then we haven't really heard much about it since, I believe. Stock Ramu Ifrit. Fun fact, these tank busters are not AoE.
Now your memories belong to us.
Ifrit and Ramu. Garuda and Leviathan. And then there's Shiva suddenly.
Memories of ice.
Can't remember how much that helps. But yeah, that was magic damage, so that was the correct call, I think. Oh boy. Ow. Been playing since A Realm Reborn. Yeah, the markers have been improved incredibly. Like, there's a lot of old A Realm Reborn fights themselves that are... Oh, that was a Garuda Leviathan, so it's... Yeah, it's like this. And but they've gotten a lot better. Like, there's some old fights that they've had to go back and fix. As we talked about a little bit ago, in Somal, there's the... that's... What's this? Leviathan Ramu. There's the T-Rex looking thing, Leviathan Ifrit, that has this mechanic where it throws slimes that are either orange or blue. And the way it used to work, oh boy, is that it would use a blue marker for the blue slime and an orange marker for the orange slime. That's Leviathan and Ramu. And then it's Junction Titan. But because the orange marker has since become synonymous with spread markers, but on that T-Rex looking boss, the orange marker was actually a stack marker. Often people would get slammed because of that. Because it was exactly the... Oh, I was too close. Go ahead. Which one was that? Oh, right. Ramu Leviathan. I was a little too focused on my burst and then messed it up. Garuda Ramu. That's like here. And that's more like here.
Now your memories belong to us.
Very good. And then we have a mage limit break, because we have a red mage limit break even, because we couldn't have anything else. I didn't see that. I didn't see it properly. Now we have to kill the boss before it reaches that, because otherwise we might be in trouble.
Memories of ice.
And if we're really good, we skip this mechanic by killing the boss. Close enough. Close enough. Pedro says we used to know the names for the boss skills even for easier fights. Yeah, that is, I can't remember if it was an A Realm Reborn or a Heavensward or even a Stormblood fight that it originated from, but the name Earthshaker refers to a marker that points at one or more players, like a spread marker typically. Sometimes it's like a white marker, but it can just be a spread marker. But it indicates a cone AoE originating from the boss and then spreading out in the direction of the player. That is typically referred to as simply Earthshaker. Sometimes because it doesn't, like, the boss doesn't actually name the attack. But I believe the origin is because the first time this kind of action was named, it was called Earthshaker. And Orion says Earthshaker is an ability used by Bahamut Prime, Sephiroth, and Diabolos Hollow. There you go. And then it's also used by, like, E12. And I believe the first boss in Delubrum Reginae Normal. But the thing is that in those fights, they're typically not called Earthshaker. Right. I think we have time for Alliance Raid Roulette. Do you guys want to see if we get Crystal Tower? There's a very high chance we do if we have level 60s. But that's fine. It's everyone the job they want to be. I'm going to take that as a yes. Hey, someone. Someone. Crystal Tower hype. Wouldn't that be incredible? Well, we got a queue timer to start on. As I've said, and I think I've said it a bunch of times in the comments of that video from Friday, I don't mind Crystal Tower. If I land in Crystal Tower, it's usually just, oh, okay, we got Crystal Tower. But it is sometimes more exciting to get something else. It's like the difference between getting something that you don't mind and something you really would like to have. There's nothing wrong with Crystal Tower, in my opinion. I do understand some players that do Alliance Raid Roulette every day get really, really, really tired. And someone says, in my opinion, Crystal Tower gets a bad rap. It's not bad, but I guess if you played the game for many years, it might get a little old. The thing is that the problem with Crystal Tower isn't really Crystal Tower, it's more that you get it too much. Like, let's say you like I'm going to say hypothetically, because some people might not. Let's say you like chocolate cake, right? So you get chocolate cake every now and then. That's really nice. What if you got chocolate cake every day? Every day you got like a big slice of chocolate cake. You might think that's awesome for one day, for a week, even for a month, but at some point it's going to get a little bit old. And I think that's where the problems arise. It has nothing to do with Crystal Tower. It's just that getting the same one every time gets a little old. And then there's the thing that Crystal Tower is very easy. I think some people complain about that one too. And as Pedro says, it's boring since we're at level 50, so most jobs don't have that many skills. That also plays a factor. Some players don't like that. Some players find that very boring. But it's basically, the problem is not Crystal Tower. The problem is that it would be nice if there was some more variety. And it's just, it's not that Alliance Raid Roulette is like weighted. It's not weighted towards giving a Crystal Tower. It's just by design. And there we go, Circus Tower. There are anyone that queues for Alliance Raid Roulette could get Circus Tower. Anyone. Literally anyone. The only Crystal Tower raid that isn't actually guaranteed from everyone is World of Darkness. The reason for this is because you need access to 2 Alliance raids to be able to have Alliance Raid Roulette in the first place. And if you like remove equipment and lower your item level, you can remove everything from the list except Labyrinth of the Ancients and Circus Tower. Or you could be a new player and you've only unlocked 2 of the 3 Alliance raids. And that's also a possibility. But everyone that queues for Alliance raids will have Circus Tower and Labyrinth of the Ancients guaranteed on their list. Which means that the probability of those being, like, if you take 24 random people and 18 of them, for example, only has Crystal Tower unlocked. Like, it doesn't even matter. But even if one only has Crystal Tower unlocked, that's all it takes, right? So the good news here is that the fact... Wait a minute. Check. I feel like there's not a lot of people. Are we missing like an entire alliance? Exactly, some raids are mandatory. Quote unquote mandatory. Medi Argentum says, is Aglaia or Euphrosyne in the list of Alliance Raid Roulette? Yes, they are, but because you have to be level 90, because you have to be level 90, it's not very likely to happen. I have landed in Euphrosyne and Aglaia with Alliance Raid Roulette, but usually that's if I queue completely alone. Somehow that tends to give me random stuff more often. And... oh, finally! It looks like it was waiting because one person left. Lone Wolf says, also doesn't help that one person doing Crystal Tower forces 23 other people to get pulled into them. That's true. This of course applies to... you could say that applies to a lot of other content as well, but it's specifically because of how extremely overwhelming Crystal Tower is in this way that makes it a little bit more egregious. I don't know what the best solution to that is. I heard some suggest... I heard a lot of suggestions, and ultimately the simple fact that a single person not having anything other than Crystal Tower would lead to 23 other people getting dragged in means that you could change anything about Alliance Raid Roulette. You could change anything you like. I came up with some suggestions and ideas in my video recently. You could do all of that, but it would not change the fact that if a single player in the group that you happen to be in is new, then you're all going to Crystal Tower. The only result, if they, for example, boosted the rewards for higher Alliance raids, is that people would be more annoyed when they land in Crystal Tower because of a new player. So that wouldn't be a good idea. In retrospect, like if they made it so that you actually got way better rewards if you do Dun Skates or something, then the players that want the better reward would get really, really angry that they land in Circus Tower, because now their daily reward has been wasted on the worst run, or they have to leave to avoid wasting it. It's like, I believe, Ifrit in leveling roulette gives like for your time it's worth it, but if you had an hour, to play, then it would have been better if you got a longer dungeon, since you had the time, right? Pedro says, are those job marks besides the name something you can toggle in the game? Yes. They are in... Let's see if I can find it while fighting a boss. I messed up my solid barrel. They are here. Character configuration, display name settings, general. That's also where you toggle that people have colored names based on their roles. But yeah, the worst that could possibly come out of boosting the roulette rewards from, say, Alliance Raid Roulette is that people would be more annoyed. Uh-oh. That, that's going to hurt. Or not? Didn't really hurt that much. But they would be more annoyed that there would be new players. Someone says, guess they need better level matchmaking. I don't think that's the problem, because the thing is that the roulette aims to fill a 24-man group, right? As soon as they can fit 24 people together, they do. And then they find out, oh, one of them says it has to be Circus Tower. And then you drag 23 other people into Circus Tower. Kicking and screaming into Circus Tower again. The best solution I've heard to the problem is adding a Crystal Tower roulette, like we have the MSQ roulette. That is the best solution I've heard to the problem. Now, that could be an entire problem in its own right, if people don't actually queue for it, right? If people go, oh, finally, no more Crystal Tower, and then no Crystal Tower never pops again, right? That is an entirely separate problem. But it would be the only way to consistently solve this problem, that it just takes one person. Orion says the problem is making a 24-man raid part of the MSQ. That could be part of the problem. What I know, however, is that I heard multiple accounts from people saying that before Shadowbringers, where Crystal Tower was mandatory, so before that, Crystal Tower was already the most common Alliance raid to pop. Like, that was already the case before you were forced to do it. It just became, like, worse when Shadowbringers made it mandatory. Simply because, how can I say it, which normal raid is the most common to pop when you go into normal raid roulette? Like, which one is the most normal raid to pop? I'd argue that it would be A1, you know, Alexander. And that is not mandatory, it's just the lowest level normal raid you can unlock. So it's very easy to unlock the roulette that way. It also doubles that Alexander's ridiculously easy, right? That doesn't help either. But I'm pretty sure that there is a correlation there. It's the same with Crystal Tower. Someone says added to MSQ roulette. I suggested that as well, but I heard a pretty good argument for why that would be a bad idea. Exactly, Lemon. The most common, in my experience, is A1 and A2. Both, because you need 2 to unlock normal rate roulette. So you need both of them on your list. So they should be equally likely to happen. And more likely than all other normal rates. But the reason why MSQ roulette, like, so on one hand, this hand specifically, as you might understand, this specific hand here, there are other roulettes, specifically Guildhest, which has both 4-man and 8-man content in its list. But the only way for it to actually land anyone in the 8-man Guildhests is either if it has 8 people at once, or they have, you know, like a 5-man group that it needs to match, and then it gets 3 other players, right? As I said, roulette is optimized to get people in a group as quickly as possible, so why would it sit and wait for people to like have 8 when it has 4 people ready to roll, right? Why would it do that? The only way to get the 8-man ones is if it finds 8 people all queuing for it, or it has enough people queuing for it, and then it fills it out with people just going for the roulette, right? Now, that is only some level of a problem, right? It's not too bad, because, I mean, it's just double up, right? But to go from a 4-player MSQ roulette to 24 with Crystal Tower, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's just not happening. So that would lead to an issue where, yes, it's technically in the roulette, but it will never, ever, ever, ever pop for you. Ever. Even if it is a good idea on paper. And I thought it was a good idea. And the thing is that I've gone through most of these ideas, but that video with Crystal Tower got over 200 comments. So I've gotten every single iteration of idea and heard counter arguments from most of them as well. That's why I think the most effective solution to this conundrum is add a Crystal Tower roulette. That is the solution that would actually change something. That, in my opinion. There are other solutions that might alleviate the problem, but I don't think they might necessarily fix them. If that makes sense. Lone Wolf says, just make all alliance raids and normal raids required to progress to the next expansion. Do that too. But that would only reduce the amount of Crystal Tower you get. It would not, like... It would still mean that... So okay. You have a group of 24 people. The level 60 players are forced to unlock the Shadows of Mahak. The level 70 players are forced to unlock the Ivalice. The level 80 players are forced to unlock the Near Raids. And the level 90 players are forced to unlock the Myths of the Realm. But there's a level 50 player in the group, so Crystal Tower. There you go. Enjoy! See what I mean? Medi Argentum says, red nameplates for players makes me think they're enemy mobs. I can see what you mean. I can see what you mean. Fortunately, my enemy targets are typically like a purplish pink. I just left it as default. Yeah, I don't know what the best solution is, but I think the most immediately effective method to solve it is to just get rid of the Crystal Tower from the Alliance Raid roulette. Like, just get it out of it and put it in its own roulette. Especially if that player's missing HP, so their HP appears. Becomes very confusing. I see what you mean. I can totally see what you mean. Yeah, I don't know what's best. I don't know what's best. Like, as I said, even the solution of going, oh, just make a separate roulette for Crystal Tower 5 head, right? Like, that solution could backfire extremely heavily. Could you imagine? All the new players are stuck in queue forever because no one queues for a Crystal Tower roulette. Why would you do that? The reward isn't good enough to be worth queuing for, right? Or maybe it is worth queuing for. Like, I don't know. Force all Crystal Tower raids to be run at minimum item level and no echo. This way, it will be an interesting run at the least. I also like that solution. If they did that, then it would make it a lot more difficult, and maybe make the challenge more equal to the other Alliance raids. Like, if you actually had minimum item level, then... and no echo and all that, then it might take 30 minutes, and then it's, you know, it's equal to the challenge that the other Alliance raids pose. And that would be nice, I think. I have, however, heard, and maybe Pedro can add detail to this, since you said you played in A Realm Reborn, you might not remember. I heard, I have been told that in A Realm Reborn, Alliance raids had 2 tanks. Is that right? Or is that wrong? True or false? Did Alliance raids have 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 4 DPS in A Realm Reborn? I don't know, but I'm asking. It's not a quiz, I'm genuinely curious, because I saw one person bring this up. One. And I didn't see anyone else mention it, so I don't know if it's actually true. But if that is true, then surely it's not surprising that it would be brutally difficult to do the Crystal Tower raids minimum item level, and with no echo in Endwalker, despite all of the boosts that we have to, like, our power and everything. Because you would still be lacking tanks. Maybe the 3 tanks that you have would be able to, like, build up for that. Did you get an ad again? I do not understand why it does that. I do not know. I'm not making this up. I choose the setting that says that it should not give you ads in the middle of the stream. It should not do that. Oshi says, I think Crystal Tower appears so often because it's good leveling for the free trial players, because they're already max level if they reach the Heavensward Alliance rates. That's true. Players will... so the thing is, right now, max level players are incentivized to down gear to queue for Crystal Tower, because the only thing that scales with the difficulty of of the Alliance raid is the XP reward. Oh, you just opened the stream. Okay, fair enough. But max level players get the exact same roulette rewards from Crystal Tower, Shadow of Mahak, Evilise, and the Near Raid. They get a different reward from the level 90 Alliance raids, but that's a whole different story. And you could just queue specifically for that if you want that, right? And you typically would if you need something specific that drops from it. But the key thing is technically the reward from the Aglaya and Euphrosyne Alliance raids are the same because it's the roulette reward. Like the only reason why a max level character would care a little bit more about those is that this is the this is the reward that I get for doing Copied Factory alongside this reward, right? This is the reward I get for Labyrinth of the Ancients. Same thing. This is what I get for getting Aglaya, and this is what I get for doing Euphrosyne. Bit different, but that's ultimately the difference when I do Alliance Raid and I get those. But if you don't care about Euphrosyne or Aglaya, then Crystal Tower is a much better, like, value proposition, because it takes, like, half the time. Yeah, exactly, someone. Also that it drops a coin for you, which is also nice. But they specifically, you're in the situation that Crystal Tower takes around 15 minutes. Shadows of Mahak takes like 30 minutes. Evilise takes like 30 minutes. Near Raids take sometimes 40 minutes. Euphrosyne or Aglaya takes like, I think like 30 minutes as well. Maybe a bit less actually. But if you're only in it for the roulette reward, which is you queued for roulette, right? Then the only thing that matters is the most effective way to get this. Like, would you rather get paid like $10 or $100 even? Like, if we really want to make it juicy, do you want to get paid $100 for 15 minutes of work? 30 minutes of work or 40 minutes of work? Pretty sure everyone's going to say 15 minutes. Then you can of course spice it up by saying, would you like to get $100 for 15 minutes of boring work or 30 minutes of exciting work? But that's a little bit more complicated to quantify, right? Lone Wolf says, I just watched an old Labyrinth of the Ancients guide and they have 2 tanks per alliance. Pedro says, I'm not sure about the 2 tanks, but I remember people using Ninja as a tank in World of Darkness. They did something like an evade tank. That is really, really strange. Huh. And that is correct, Mediagentum. Once we get the 6.5, the remaining... well, once we get 6.5, you can finally catch up all of your gear, because that's how 6.5 works. But yeah, interesting. 2 tanks per alliance. I heard the specific example that the person gave when they mentioned 2 tanks per alliance was... you know Labyrinth of the Ancients, the first boss, the dragon, with all of the skeletons spawning in, and what happens is you move the dragon over to a corner, and then for the most part you ignore all of the skeletons, you kill the dragon, and then you close your eyes, cross your fingers, and pray that the healers got this. Because else you're dead. And you do that 2 times, and then in the final section of that fight, 3, not 1, not 2, 3, I'm pretty sure it's 3 eye-ats spawn that presumably are supposed to be tanked by 1 tank each, you know, 1 from each alliance. But if you only have 3 tanks, then one of the tanks is tanking the dragon. That's not going to work, is it? Then you have to split them up between the 2 remaining tanks, I guess. So it's going to require some fiddling and creative solutions to do it. Mediagentum says, even at minimum item level and no echo, I don't think Crystal Tower raids are going to be as difficult and as much of a white fest as Icecrown Citadel raid nights. The thing is, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. The reason why I even thought myself of doing minimum item level runs of Crystal Tower stuff is that someone suggested, they said that they are in their free company, like doing all of the alliance raids, minimum item level, no echo, for fun. And they said that the Crystal Tower raids now are a snooze fest to do in Roulette because they know all of the mechanics they're not allowed to see. Like, we did Circus Tower, you see the big bulky muscle man boss that gets those ads that spawn and point beams at him that don't do anything? He has mechanics. You see all those platforms out in the arena? They do stuff. I don't know what they do, but they do things. They technically do things. So if you learn that there's a mechanic, it gets boring. Like, exactly like my experience when we landed in Somal earlier, and I was like, wait, why is the T-Rex dead? We didn't get to see the green slime mechanic. Like, what happened? Someone says, well, you underestimate people not understanding how the, I'm guessing you meant behemoth, meteor part. Yeah, it's, you know, the best ones is when there's like one of the meteor rocks like an inch too close to behemoth. Like just an inch. So all of the melee stack on that one, but it's too close so it doesn't count. And you lose like 90% of your raid. And you're just sitting there in the situation like, well, I'm glad my team's tank didn't stand there. Yeah, all the hourglasses. World of Darkness. The Eye Boss. I have at least once on stream explained. I have at least once explained how the hourglass works, because it's not obvious what it does. Because what you do is you usually kill the hourglasses and then nothing happens. What the hourglasses do on the World of Darkness Eye Boss at the start is there's this gray quarter of the arena that appears and moves around the arena as you go. That will stop moving and instantly kill everyone that happens to be on the quarter if you wait too long. If you kill all of the hourglasses, it will stop where it is and then just wait for everyone to leave. But if you don't kill the hourglasses, suddenly this quarter of the arena will just go boop and everyone there dies. But how would you know this if you've only been in groups that actually kill the hourglasses? Jay's not here, says, I can't get solid barrel to fall into the no mercy combo reliably. Show me how you do it. What, do you mean 2.50 GCD or do you mean faster? Like, how do you mean? I need a little bit more detail, like which kind of rotation are you running? Are you running the slow one, the fast one? And then I can try and show you. If it is the fast one, then I think I might be able to explain. See, Lemon says people also don't kill the ads that attack the comets in Behemoth. That is also a good one. Not only do they ignore the ads completely, but they just let the big golems cleave the meteor or the comets, so they die. So I was looking at your level 60 Gunbreaker guide and just focus on learning the opener you showed there. This one? This one? Does this look familiar, Jay's not here? That, so Solid Barrel is usually a second off for me and doesn't fall into the No Mercy window. Right, so Solid Barrel is invisible over here. So what we do is go to Idle Share. What's your GCD, Jay's not here? Like, what's your recast timer on your weapon skills? Is it 2.50 or is it less than that? Oh. If you don't know, that's also fine, but like it's the recast timer number that I'm interested in. Right, so I play, so I'm loading into Final Fantasy right now. I'm pretty sure it's 2.50 because I'm a new level 60 Gunbreaker. Right, I don't remember if there's skill speed on the starter set. But you should not be able to fit Solid Barrel after the Brutal Shell at the end of the opener. Let me demonstrate. So the opener goes Lightning Shot, No Mercy, Keen Edge, Danger Zone, Rough Divide, Brutal Shell, Rough Divide, Solid Barrel, Gnashing Fang, Sonic Break, Savage Claw, Wicked Talon. And then you go Keen Edge. And then, if your GCD is really fast, you can fit Brutal Shell in. But you will never be able to fit Solid Barrel in. Ever. You simply can't. So, let's go over this. Let's take a look at it. Take a little gander. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right. So, let me just minimize this. My mouse is a little small, but let's go over this. I'll try my best. Actually, not that one. Just grab my OBS in on the screen and make an infinite loop for a moment there. Right? Can I right here? Yes, I can. Crash this. So, No Mercy, if you have a GCD of 2.50, done perfectly, results in 8 GCDs. So, I don't talk about this in the guide. GCDs refer to global cooldown. That is the common abbreviation for both weapon skills and spells, right? It also refers to the recast time of weapon skills and spells. So when I say 8 GCDs, what I actually mean is 8 weapon skills. So like Keen Edge, right? So if your GCD is 2.50, then you can fit 8 GCDs. Stay with me, that is a little confusing. If your GCD, the timer, is 2.5, you can fit 8 GCDs, the actions. Now, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, you won't ever fit anything more than this if your GCD is 2.5. Earlier, we talked about the faster GCD. If your GCD is 2.46 and your latency is like you know, 20 ms or something like that, right? Like you have, you're really close to the server. You have good connection, and you late weave No Mercy perfectly. Perfectly. Not just good, but perfectly. Then you can fit 9 GCDs. I couldn't do it on 246. Let me put it like this. Earlier in the stream, I tried to demonstrate it and I could not do it. And my connection is excellent. So 246 is a hard maybe. Maybe you can do it, right? If your GCD is like 243, then you can do it if you late weave No Mercy somewhat decently, and then you get 9, but you will still never fit the solid barrel that goes here. Never. Like, it cannot be done. Because that's the number 10. You need like a GCD of like 2.2 or something. I would just shot in the dark, like 2.2, maybe even a round 2, which is impossible to reach, to fit 10. Just screenshot the rotation from the level 60 rotation and threw it in the disk. This one is different. There's a few of them shown in the video. Give me a second. There's this one. Let me just move this. Whoops. What is this? There it is. Yeah, those are the 2 openers that are shown. Oh, you put it in the classroom, sorry. Yes, right. This is the opener you're thinking of. So I think I say this. Let me just take a moment. I will have to check the manuscript for that. Not need. Yeah, so in that guide, I say with the solid barrel at the end fitting inside the window if your recast timer is fast enough. So that means that you need to late weave No Mercy, and you need a faster GCD than 2.50. You need like 2.45 to do that. Now, of course, both of these openers, both of them work. The only difference, so the reason why I offer these 2 different the reason why I offer these 2 different openers is because in most lower level content, the act of using No Mercy as early as you can tends to be more important than going into it perfectly, because the fight is going to end really, really soon, because fights are shorter. Like, you might not get 2 No Mercies if you wait 7 seconds before you use No Mercy, right? So that's why both of the openers go 1 GCD, No Mercy. No planning, it's just immediate No Mercy. As soon as you have attacked, you use No Mercy. And the reason why you don't go No Mercy before Keen Edge over here is simply because it tends to flow better if you use a GCD first. In my opinion. That is just, and it's my guide, so I get to choose that and recommend that. I think it flows better like that. If you weave No Mercy here, then it gets really janky with how many things you can fit. But the point is, let's focus on this one, okay? So, if your GCD is 2.50, which you say it is, then you only get 8 GCDs. And if your GCD is faster than this, if it's 2.46, even 47 actually, so equal or less, then depending on your skill speed, or depending on your performance, it can be 9. But as you say, it works sometimes, so this might be true. Can you tell me what your GCD is if you have, if you said you were logging in? Let me know what it is when you're in. So just check any weapon skill and tell me what it says the GCD is, or the recast timer is. Don't check Gnashing Fang, by the way. Or Sonic Break. But yeah, if you check this, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the 9th one. So this one only works if you have this and the perfect timing and all that, as I talked about earlier. So it shouldn't work. Now, the thing is, you might be in a situation where you think it works, but it doesn't. Earlier in the stream, when I was demonstrating this kind of opener, we were demonstrating the level 90 version of the opener instead, which is a little more involved, but it on the 2.46 or faster GCD, it still finishes with solid barrel. Like that is still true, that it actually ends on solid barrel. But you need to do it extremely perfectly for it to land, and I could not do it. The way we discovered this is that I had a crit that did like 12,000 damage, but I could also do 12,000 damage with a crit without No Mercy. So clearly it didn't land in No Mercy, even though I clicked solid barrel while No Mercy had, 0 seconds left. It just didn't count. So it's very strict. It's very, very tight. I generally recommend, like, if you want to go with a faster one, go with more than 246. Like, I think the best is somewhere around like 240. I've heard is really nice, but I would say somewhere between 240 or 245. I personally prefer to just play 250, but that's because I play all tanks, and Paladin hates skill speed, and Warrior doesn't need it, and Dark Knight doesn't need it, so I just play with the one that everyone kind of can agree on, right? But it should work. I feel like I get it in No Mercy. My damage goes from 1k to 1.3 when I get it in that window. What's your GCD? What does it say if you mouse over Keen Edge? What does it say the recast timer is? $244. There you go. That's the reason. That's good. That's fine. If you like to play with a faster GCD, that's perfect. If you are willing to play with a faster GCD, that's perfect. But that explains. So, I don't know how perfectly I would be able to demonstrate this, because the thing is, I first of all brought the wrong chest piece. But I would need more skill speed on my gear, I think, to be able to get 244 while scaled down. Let me see what I get. 247. Right. And I don't really have more skill speed gear, and that means I would have to like grab some, and then it gets really convoluted. But that is the reason why... So the reason why it feels inconsistent is because the way that this burst works, right, is that you can always fit 8 of the GCDs in if you're not like stopped by anything. You can always fit from this brutal shell to this brutal shell. That is always going to be able to happen. Like, it doesn't matter what your GCD is or how well you weave No Mercy. If you do Keen Edge, No Mercy, and then all this, this will always land in it. But Solid Barrel, landing in it, requires that No Mercy is late weaved. I can demonstrate late weaving, like that is something that I can do. But I can't demonstrate the open at 244 on, like, suddenly now. But it relies on how perfectly you can late weave it. And then it relies on your skill speed. So late weaving, I don't think I'm familiar with late weaving. Almost. Just throw it when the GCD is fully over. Yeah, so I think I showcase it briefly in the guide itself to show what it means. I also have a short about weaving. Let me see if I can find it. I'll just post this in the live chat. You can check that later if you want. That should tell you the different types of weaving and exactly what it means. But generally, so I didn't need to do that. Your average connection takes around 1/4 of your GCD timer to resolve the animation lock after using a weapon skill. So that means, like, after you use Keen Edge, 1/4 of that, like that clock spinning, 1/4 of it after you can use something, which you can see like so. It's very quick, but around 1/4 of the way in, you can do something else. That's called early weaving. If you want to do something again, around halfway through you can do it. Now, technically, this would imply that if you want to do a third thing before your weapon skill comes up, that would be 1/3 of, like, 3/4 of the way through. But because your GCD is typically less than 2.5 and your latency is not always exactly what I say it is, this is typically going to mean that your next GCD is going to come out late, and you don't want that. So never triple weave, as it is called. Double weaving, fine. Triple weaving, don't do that. But late weaving is intentionally weaving your ability as close to this 3/4 of the way as possible without delaying your weapon skill. So I can demonstrate this with any ability, really. So, like, I can do it with Heart of Corundum here. That's Heart of Stone. You can do it with Aurora. Do it with Aurora again. Camouflage. Rampart. And see, like, I use it super early, like super late in the GCD, but it comes out and I still do my weapon skill on time. That's called late weaving. So the way that you go about doing this perfectly, now I don't have the GCD to do it consistently or at all, because I play slow Gunbreaker personally, but if you were to do a late weave No Mercy, it would look like this. Something like this, right? And then you can see my No Mercy is going to run out before I can finish, because my skill speed isn't fast enough. But that's how it's done. And that is how you would do it. You just need enough skill speed for the magic to happen. I hope that makes sense. Jay's not here. And Pedro said, I was going to ask if you could push your No Mercy 1 GCD, but I guess that makes you need a triple weave. The thing is that you want No Mercy on your weapon skills. So that doesn't help. You could delay it 1 GCD if you want the solid barrel in. The reason why you use it early, as I said before, is you want No Mercy to go on cooldown quickly, so you can maybe use No Mercy again. This is like one of the weirdest things with openers. And the reason why you use some cooldowns really early is because if you use them really early, sometimes you can use them again. Medi Argentum says, too difficult for me. I play with big sword class and I just mash all off GCD buttons in the beginning. I mean, as long as you use GCD 2-0 GCDs, GCD 2-0 GCDs back and forth, it's fine. Yeah, that is very fast for Gunbreaker, but you could use some new accessories. But it's a level 70 Gunbreaker, Caldia. I think it's just Coco happens to... Coco is Gunsmokes, by the way. Gunsmokes is Coco in-game. That's just how sometimes the gear pans out. I remember we talked about Dragoon's level 60 gear from Idleshire is ridiculous. Like, it's like ludicrously fast for some reason. Jason out here says, I'm tracking just just weird how it's not consistent, but I can do it. It's as consistent as you can get it, Jason not here. Like, the thing is that getting this relies on a combination of your latency, your skill speed, and your ability to late weave No Mercy. So the only factors you can control is your ability to late weave No Mercy, and of course if you can buy a really, really good internet connection, and your skill speed is then just what you happen to have on your gear, right? As you can hear, Coco says that your bite just get really, really, really fast later. But this is the reason why the guide presents like an opener that has an addition if your GCD is really fast, is because when you're leveling up, your GCD is going to be all over the place. So I just give you an opener to work with, and then you just use that. Yeah. I hope that helps you, Jay's not here. But if you can't fit that solid barrel in your No Mercy, like, yes, it's going to be a little bit of a damage loss, but you're leveling up. You're level 60, right? You're level 60. No one's expecting you to be perfect. No one's expecting you to be perfect. No one's necessarily expecting you to be good. In fact, if you're level 60 Gunbreaker and you go in and you just nail it in your first dungeon, I think people are going to be more impressed than anything else. So don't sweat it, man. Just do your best. Don't worry about it. Like, if you can only fit 8 in, that's okay. You'll get better. You'll learn it. You'll maybe practice some more. Lemon says 239 on the Idleshire gear for Dragoon. That is a lot of extra GCDs over the course of a fight. And it's a very nice stick, Coco. It's crooked. Right. We're a little bit over time where I would normally end these streams. Yeah. I feel like this was a good little conversation to have at the end. Sorry about suddenly stopping our conversation about alliance raids. That was also interesting. It doesn't align the OGCDs well at all. Yeah, that's kind of the problem with higher skill speeds. Right. If you enjoyed what you saw on this stream and you would like to keep track of what's going on this channel for the future, the easiest way to do that is to join the Discord community server, where There is a room dedicated to the weekly schedule. There's posts whenever I have a live stream or whenever I post a video or whatever. And then there's also tons of rooms to talk about everything and nothing. Earlier today, we had a conversation about the Japanese language. And we had a conversation about the Team Rocket's motto, among other things. So if you want to be part of that, you can. And then the next few days, there's going to be a short that actually showcases there's going to be a short showcasing the Summoner opener at level 90, and there's going to be a short showcasing a Gunbreaker opener. It's slightly adjusted so that it works regardless of your skill speed, because there's simply not enough time in 1 minute to both explain this is the slow opener or this is the fast opener, and then also actually explaining it. So instead we're going with like a slow opener with adjustments so that it works for fast. And then on Friday we talk about what the point of openers are. Like literally talking about this with openers. What's the point of them? And if you're more new to the game, you haven't done endgame content much, but you have seen every single guide in existence go, oh, and then here's your opener, do this. Then it might be helpful for you to learn how important it is to master an opener before you pick up a job, or before you try to do endgame content with a job, or what have you, right? Yeah, and then Saturday, as is tradition on the channel, we do more main quest on Rewind Replay, where we do 6.2 and onward. Right? So, thank you all so much for watching, and good night or good morning, afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, and I hope to see you all very soon. Good night. Good night.